Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Om Gyanatimidandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena. Everyone all together, bolo. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachadane Nivasesa Shunyavadi Paschachadishitadine Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava. Not too fast. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Janna Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Kunja Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Madhavananda, Jaya Kunja Vihari, Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Vihari, Jaya Girivardhari, Jaya Jai Om Vishnavad Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Varya Astotara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Vaishnava Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Iskan Samstapakacharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bo Samaveda Bhaktivinda Ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. My Guru Maharaj instructed me personally. He said, before you speak on Srimad Bhagavatam, you should offer prayers to the Bhagavatam. And he has a certain set of prayers which some of you probably are familiar with. And he told us that Krishna Tulya Bhagavat, Vibhu Sai Vishwai, Prati Shloki, Prati Akshri Nanatakoi, that just as Krishna's Vibhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so also is Srimad Bhagavatam. And just as we offer prayers to Krishna, we also offer prayers to the Bhagavatam. So this takes about 5 minutes. You can be patient. If you know, you can recite with me. Narayanam namaskrityam naram shaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudidayat Vedi ramayane shaiva purane bharate tata adavante cha madhye cha hari sarvatra giyate mukam karoti vakshalam pangum langayate girim Yat kripa tamaham vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Paramananda He Madhava Padunga Luchi Makaranda Se Makaranda Panakori Anande bolo hari hari Harinka name vandavela Parikori be chakadola Se chakadolanka padaye Manamo rahu nirantare Manamo nirantare rahu Ha Krishna Boli Jiva Jao Ha Krishna Boli Jao Jiva Moteu Dada Radha Dava Moteu Dada Radha Dava Moteu Dada Radha Dava Dharma Projita Kaitavo Taparamo Nirmatsaranam Satam Vedyam Vastavamattavastu Shivadam Tapachayon Mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamune Krite Kimva Parayishvara Sadyo Hridyavarujyate Chakatibishu Shubhistakshanat Nigamakolpataro Galitam Phalam Shukamukaramita Dravasamyutam Pivata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavuka Anarto Pasamam Sakshad Bhakti Yogam Adhoksaje Lokasya Janito Vidvanscha Krisatvat Samhitam Yasham Vaishyamanayam Krishne Paramapurushe Bhakti Utpadyate Pumsa Shoka Moha Vayapaha Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam Yasmin Paramahamsam Ekam Amalam Gyanam Param Giyate Tatra Gyana Vairagya Bhakti Sahitam Naiskamyam Aviskritam Tachchinvam Supatim Vicharana Pado Bhaktya Vimuchan Naraha Arto Yam Brahma Sutranam Vadatarta Vinirnaya Gayatri Bhaksharupa So Vedata Parivrimitaha Sarva Vediti Hasanam Sadam Sadam Samudritam Sarva Vedanta Sadam Hi Srimad Bhagavatam Ishyate Tadrasamrita Triptasya Namyata Sarvatri Kuchit Krishna Bhakti Rasa Swarup Shri Bhagavatam Tate Veda Hoshan Hoite Parama Mahatva Chari Veda Upanishade Jata Kichu Hoya Tara Arta Lena Vyasa Korila Sanchaya Jai Sutre Jeru Vishaya Vachana Bhagavate Sehiru Slokani Bandana Jivera Nistara Lagi Sutra Koilo Vyasa Mayavadi Vashya Shunile Hoya Sarvanasa Jaho Bhagavata Pada Vaishnavirastane Ekanta Shaikoro Chaitanya Charane Bhagavata Jinamane Sejavana Sama Tada Sasta Achi Janme Janme Prabhu Jama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya So, Tukaram Prabhu told me that I could pick whatever verse I wanted. It's kind of like Christmas. So, I wanted to read something to you today from the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the teachings of Lord Kapila Dev. This is chapter 29, 3rd canto, chapter 29, text number 34.
3.29.34.
This is the International Society for Smartphone Consciousness. Manasaitani Bhutani
Manasaitani Bhutani
Manasaitani Bhutani
Manasaitani Bhutani
Pranamid Bahumanayan Pranamid Bahumanayan Ishvaro Jiva Kolaya Ishvaro Jiva Kolaya Pravishto Bhagavaniti Pravishto Bhagavaniti
Manasaitani Bhutani
Manasaitani Bhutani
Pranamid
Bahumanayan
Ishvaro Jiva Kalaya
Ishvaro Jiva Kalaya
Pravishto Bhagavaniti
Manasaitani Bhutani Pranamid Bahumanayan Ishvaro Jiva Kalaya Pravishto Bhagavaniti Manasaitani Bhutani Pranamid Bahumanayan Ishvaro Jiva Kalaya Pravishto Bhagavaniti Manasa with the mind Itani to these Bhutani living entities Pranayat Pranamit he offers respects Bahu Manayan showing regard Ishvaraha the controller Jiva of the living entities Kolaya by his expansion as a super soul Pravishtaha has entered Bhagavan the Supreme Personality of Godhead Iti thus translation such a perfect devotee offers respects to every living entity because he's under the firm conviction that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has entered the body of every living entity as a supersoul or controller. Please repeat. Such a perfect devotee offers respects to every living entity because he's under the firm conviction that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has entered the body of every living entity as a supersoul or controller. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. A perfect devotee, as described above, does not make the mistake of thinking that because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Paramatma, has entered into the body of every living entity has become the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is foolishness. Suppose a person enters into a room. That does not mean that the room has become that person. Similarly, that the Supreme Lord has entered into each of the 8,400,000 particular types of material bodies does not mean that each of these bodies has become the Supreme Lord. Because the Supreme Lord is present, however, a pure devotee accepts each body as the temple of the Lord, and since the devotee offers respect to such temples in full knowledge, he gives respect to every living entity in relationship with the Lord. Mayavadi philosophers wrongly think that because the Supreme Person has entered the body of a poor man, the Supreme Lord has become Daridra Narayan, or poor Narayan. These are all blasphemous statements of atheists and non-devotees. Goragraganya gana gotra goloruharam Goranga gudatama gopyara kolpa briksham Gopala gada ratidam yati singha goran Govinda deshi kavaram satatam namami. So, this is Srila Prabhupada's desire. He wanted to create some facility for people to come together to hear and chant about Krishna. We have that propensity to come together and hear and chant. And therefore people, they're going to movie theaters, they're going to dance halls, and like that, because we have the propensity. In the West, when I grew up, the common person, they watched maybe 4 hours or more of television every day. That's like, 20 or 30 years of your life. At the end of your life, just watching television. And sometimes you see families, they all come together and they're sitting and watching the television. And you may say, oh, that's nice, they're doing that together, that's a family thing, but it's not. They're not seeing each other. They're not paying any attention to each other. So we need community. We need to learn how to come together as community. So I'd like to share a few thoughts with you today that I think you'll find practical. I'd like to encourage all of you not to only become Hare Krishna devotees, because I think you're not only Hare Krishna devotees, right? You're also students. You're also sons of your mother and your father, and you have brothers and sisters, and maybe even someday you might get married, who knows, and you might have children and whatever like that. You're not just Hare Krishna devotees. You're going to have to deal with so many other things. So when you come to this movement, I would like to suggest to all of you, you're not only coming here just to become a pure devotee. Right? Tukaram Prabhu is always telling you should all become pure devotees. That's good. You should. You'll be more happy, believe me. Right? But you're also looking for something else. So I would like to suggest to you that there is a wealth of very practical information in the Krishna consciousness movement which can help you not only in a spiritual way, not only in an emotional way, but also in a very practical way in your material life too, because some of you might also have some material life too. That's okay. We want to encourage you to have both, and we want to encourage you to look for valuable things that you'll find in this movement. For example, vegetarianism. For example, not eating onions and garlic. That's very good for your health. There's many good practical things. Getting up early in the morning, worshiping the Lord, that's very good for your mind, which in turn is also very good for your bodily health and good for your material relationships. So you can also find such things in this movement. And one such thing that you can find here, which is very practical for you, is how to practically have good relationships with everyone. Everybody knows this. And successful people, everybody knows that a successful person is someone who has good relationships with everybody else. And we all want everybody to like us, isn't it? Even though we all want to be pure devotees, Tukaram Prabhu is telling us like that. We want to be pure devotees, and we shouldn't care if everybody likes us or not, and if they punch you in the nose, if they dump some donkey urine or something on your head. We shouldn't care, but we do care. And we all want to be loved, we want to be appreciated. But ironically, in a paradoxical, it's a very nice word in English, paradoxical kind of way, the way to get people to like you more is if you like them. There's a famous book, I remember when I was growing up I'd read, called How to Win Friends and Influence Enemies. It's such a famous book, probably some of you have seen it also. To give you a short version of that book, if you like people, they'll like you. If you give respect to people, they'll respect you. But what kind of respect should be there? In American English, we have a word, con man. A con man is someone who comes, there's a common thing going on in America today. When a man dies, he's an old man, he dies, and his wife then, she's an old lady, and she inherits the house and all the property, but she's not very expert with things. And there's certain people who go through the newspapers and they find when some old man like that dies, and then they go to visit the widow, the old lady, and they bring her some flowers or something, and they say, I'm very sorry, we heard about your husband, and you know, we live just around the block, and if there's anything we can do to help you, and they make friends with her, and they speak very sweetly to her. And their whole purpose, though, is to cheat her, to convince her at a certain point, you know, this house is so big, you probably feel lonely, maybe you'd be more happy in a small flat. So you're not good at selling things, I can help you sell the house. And they sell the house at like a fraction of what it's worth. They give that fraction to her, but they keep the balance for themselves, and they cheat her. So that person, he's speaking very sweet words. And he seems like so nice, right? But we call him a con man. And we've all met certain people in the world who come to us and they say, oh, Prabhuji, you are so handsome. I mean, look at him. Isn't he such a handsome person? Huh? And the way he sings, he's so good, and he's so knowledgeable, and you're so this and that. And he smiles. He thinks, yes, they like me. Finally, somebody in class is giving respect to me like they should, right? And then I come and say, and by the way, can I borrow some money? How do you feel when we do like that? You feel very bad. Very, very bad. This person's a very nice. At first he felt very nice, right? When I said, you're very handsome, right? He liked that. But then when I say, now you lend me some money, and you feel, oh, this is very wrong. So in our relationships, it's not just that you speak sweet words, but people look for the motivation. And the motivation is dependent upon your consciousness, upon your attitude toward other persons. So everybody knows, every politician, every teacher in school, right? Every politician who wants your vote, every shop keeper has a shop, they want to be very nice to you. and say nice things to you. So you'll come to their shop. So you'll give them your vote, so that you'll like that teacher, so they can keep their job. That's motivated friendship. But as soon as that motivation is gone, or as soon as they have some opportunity, then they may cheat you. The politician is saying, yes, I'm a very honest person. We should all be very honest. But as soon as he gets some chance to take some money and no one's watching, he immediately does that. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his Chaitanya Siksamrita, he speaks about this culture of respect. In English, the word culture has two broad meanings. It's both a noun and a verb, if you're a little bit of an English student. It's a verb that it means you cultivate something. We should cultivate respect. And it's also a noun that this is the culture, this is the place of respect. So when we speak about the culture of respect, it's both a place and it's something that we want to do. We want to cultivate that. This is a very, very practical thing. Really, if all of you just come to this IYF, or maybe you're here for 2 months or 6 months or a year or whatever, and then you go away and you decide, I don't like to chant anymore, I don't want to do, fine, that's okay. I don't mind. Tukaram Prabhu might mind, but I don't mind. I'll be happy if you can get something from this. If you walk away and you make your life a little better. Later on in life, maybe you don't have anything to do with the devotees anymore, but you think, I spent 6 months with the IYF, or 2 months, and I learned some very valuable things which have helped me in my life. And there are some very, very powerful principles that you can learn that will help you so much. A few years ago, I was invited to an international symposium to be one of the speakers, one of the main speakers at Utkal University on business and ethics. And Tukaram Prabhu, he's a brahmachari. He was just telling me his father's a businessman. He wanted him to be a businessman. He's a brahmachari. Right? I'm a grihasta. He's good at business. He has all these places that he rents, and he has all these programs. And I'm a grihasta. I'm terrible at business. He's better than me. So when I started this talk at Utkal University, I was a little nervous. First thing I told them, actually, I said, isn't this a little ironic? I'm a Bideshi, and I'm standing here in front of all of you in a dhoti and kurta. And all of you are Deshi Janas, and you're all wearing pants and shirt. And I'm here to talk to you about Bhagavad Gita. And you're all here to talk about business. I said, this is a very ironic thing. And they all laughed like you're doing something now. So they wanted me to go there. Why? Not because they all want to become Hare Krishna people. These are very professional people. They wanted me to go there because they understood that there's a crisis in business today. These are people, these are some of the top people in all of Orissa, and they invited people from all over the world who are very expert at making money. And they're inviting a poor Hare Krishna devotee who has no idea about doing business. Ask my wife. I can't even work with the bank. I'm useless with money and things. They're asking me to come and speak at a symposium about business. And they wanted to hear the ethics aspect from myself. Because they understand there's something practical there. So don't think that the Hare Krishna movement is just about chanting japa and you're going to become a pure devotee and it's not really practical and maybe this is something you do right now, but when you get married, forget about all that stuff. And now I'm just going to lead my life. No, there are some very, very practical things in this movement, in these literatures, which can help you. So when we speak about relationships with different people, what is the essence, what is the essential principle of every relationship? Can someone tell me? What is the essential? What do you think? What is the essential principle in all relationships? I don't care if it's with your girlfriend, with a wife or husband, with your mother or father, with your children, with your friends, with your teacher, with a politician, with whatever relationship. What is the essential principle in all relationships? Can someone say?
Trust in each other.
I'm sorry?
Trust.
Trust. Okay, trust is, I would agree with that. Trust is at least an aspect of it. And there may be different correct answers. It's not there's only one good answer, but anybody else with a thought?
Serving each other.
Serving each other. Okay, but we also may serve each other in a wrong way. Like that person who's trying to cheat the old lady out of her house. Right? But service is very important, but the service should be done in the right way. Anybody else? Any other thought?
Care and attention.
Huh?
Caring and
Paying attention. Is that what you said? Caring and attention. I like that very much too. Attention is a basic principle of our relationships with our japa, with the holy name. We have to pay attention. And believe me, all of you, how many of you here are married? Right? I don't think any of you, right? I'll give you, how many of you think, I know I won't ask that question, but I was going to ask how many of you think you might get married. It's okay, keep your hands down. But probably one or two of you will sooner or later. And I'll give you a little bit of advice. In your married life, listen to your wife. Give her like 1 hour a day or something. Don't just be looking at your phone all the time when she talks to you. Yeah. You have to listen to her. And then when you listen, you also have to look at her. And you have to maybe repeat what she says. Because that attention is a very basic principle in relationships. So similarly with our japa, with Krishna, we want to pay attention to him. We want to pay attention in our chanting. We want to pay attention in our reading. And that attentiveness should also pass on to other things in your life. When you brush your teeth in the morning, be attentive about it. Be conscious when you're doing your daily activities, simple things. In your studies in school, be conscious about it. Be focused. Don't just do it in a mechanical way. And this is a great principle that you can learn from being a monk. You're kind of like all monks for a little while you're part of IYF. I was a monk for 2 months or whatever, part of the IYF. That's a very good principle you can learn. Another thing that none of you touched on that I want to speak a little something about today, which is a basic principle in all relationships, is the principle of respect. Because if you don't give respect to that person, how can there be trust? And the symptom of paying attention to someone, that you can say that's synonymous with respect. Because if I speak to all of you and I talk like this, and anyway, it's how do all of you feel? It's not very nice, is it? Because I'm not being respectful. And you like it when we look at you. You like it if I say how handsome you are and things. That's giving some respect. So there's so many different systems of respect. And here in this verse from Purport today, Srila Prabhupada, he says that because the Supreme Lord is present, a pure devotee accepts each body as the temple of the Lord, and since the devotee offers respect to such temples in full knowledge, he gives respect to every living entity in relationship with the Lord. It's only devotees who can give full respect to everyone. If you look in the news, probably some of you read the news regularly, I do. You'll see there's a clash all over the world, in Europe, in India, in America, between conservatives and liberals. And even sometimes amongst the devotees also. In our society we have disputes between conservative devotees and liberal devotees. And some devotees, they artificially, I think, try to say, well, I'm a conservative or I'm a liberal, and they want to vote in this particular way with BJP or with this or that. That's okay. You Prabhupada used to say, you vote as you like. That's he told the devotees. But my concern is more that as devotees, you shouldn't limit yourself to being a conservative or a liberal. Actually, devotees are the best of both. We're the most conservative. We are so conservative that people become frightened about associating with the Hare Krishna devotees, isn't it? Maybe even some of you are a little nervous. I don't know about this idea of moving into the ashram with the devotees here and this staying with them. I don't know, this is because they have these 4 regulated principles. Can you live Can someone survive and follow these 4 regulated principles? When Krishna Kun became a devotee, my wife, and she started becoming vegetarian, her parents were frightened. Said, oh, you're going to die. You're going to get sick. You have to eat meat. Oh my God. And I think even in India there's some people who think like that. Can you survive and follow 4 regulated principles? It's just not natural. It's artificial. It is strange. Or this or that. Devotees are the most conservative. There's no one as conservative as the devotees. And there's no one as liberal as the devotees. We're the greatest conservatives and we're the greatest liberals. Because we give respect to ants. How many liberals give respect to ants? We give respect to cows. Some people give respect to cows. We also give respect to ants and even cockroaches and mice. We're not supposed to kill them. We put them outside. We do something else. We give respect to them. As Srila Prabhupada says here, because we see their body is a temple of the Lord and we treat them as a devotee. Sometimes when persons begin to come to Krishna consciousness, they give up their pride of being a non-devotee. I used to train new people in Los Angeles. That was my job. I was a bhakta leader, what we called it. And we had a lot of people would join, and I would encourage them, like I'm speaking to you also, that you don't have to think of this as a lifelong commitment, but you just come and spend a few weeks or a month or 2 and get some experience which will benefit you throughout your life. And people would come, and to move into the temple, they had to shave their head and like that. And maybe here in India, that's not such a big thing. I think it's a big thing also for you guys. If you shave your head, that's a little weird, isn't it? Yeah? Weird? Shave your head? Would you like to do that? Okay. It's weird. All right. So for a lot of them, they especially at that time in our society, they had long hair, some of the men. And they kept their identity in their hair. And I would see when they'd shave their head, they're like getting really nervous because that's who they were. And when they give up their Levi's jeans, their old faded jeans with the worn out knees and the patches and things on them, which they loved, that was their identification. And they had a music collection. In those days they had records. I don't know if any of you heard of records. That's something people used to do back 1,000 years ago or something. But anyway, they had like a record collection. And that was part of their identity. And they give up all those things and move into the temple. And they'd have kind of a crisis of identity. Now, who am I? I thought I was my hair. I thought I was the record collection. I thought I was the Levi's jeans. And it's a little hard in the beginning. And they're trying to teach them. We're trying to teach them something about who their really identity is. So this is part of IYF. This is part of our Krishna conscious movement. Very simple aspect of it. It's a beginning aspect of it. Don't think it's the end. This is the kindergarten aspect of it. And there's many higher things to go forward to. But we want to help people to understand their identity. Aham Brahmasmi, that I am spirit soul. I'm not this material body. And to see all other living entities as a spirit soul. So you can have some morality. At Utkal University, they wanted me to speak about ethics and morality in business. You can have the ethics and morality of a politician or a businessman. But that ethics and morality is only good. It's like the ethics of the scorpion. Bhaktivinoda Thakur tells the story of the scorpion who wanted to cross a river once. But the water's deep, the scorpion's going to drown and die. And then the scorpion saw a camel. And so the scorpion went over to the camel and said, "Hey, brother camel, my dear friend, I need some help. Can you help me? Could I please ride on your back? And could you give me a ride across the river?" And the camel looked at the scorpion and said, "What, do you think I'm stupid? You're going to sting me, I'll die." And the scorpion said, "My dear brother, how can you speak like that to me? Don't you know I'm an ethical scorpion? I don't do like that. I have our ethics and morality." And the camel, who really wasn't so intelligent, he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were an ethical scorpion." Okay. And so he gave him a ride on his back. And they were going across the river. They were halfway across the river, and suddenly the scorpion stung him. And the camel said, "Why did you do that? Now we're both going to die." And the scorpion said, "Well, brother camel, what can I do? I can't give up my nature." So the ethics and morality, the so-called ethics and morality of atheists, even if they're a great politician and they speak some nice philosophy or whatever, or they're a businessman trying to get you to come to their shop, but their ethics and morality is like the ethics of a scorpion. It's artificial. It's just for show. It's just to cheat you. And people understand that. You can fool some people. There's a saying in America, you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. You can fool some people to a certain extent, but people don't trust politicians. People don't trust businessmen in a general way. But many times they trust devotees. Of course, even sometimes we have people who dress like devotees and who do bad things also. That's also there. We have an obligation that we should behave properly. If we wear kunti mala, if we wear some dhoti and tilak, we should have some obligation to behave in a proper way. So, in our Krishna conscious movement, we want to understand what is Raja Vidya, which is Rajaguyam. It's the most confidential, but it's Pratyak Savagamam Dharmyam. Krishna says this in Bhagavad Gita. It has to be practically experienced. This is the Krishna conscious movement, and this is the difference between the IYF and your school. In the school, in general, you're going there to accumulate information and to get good grades, right? So that you can go out and you can get a good job later on. But in the Krishna conscious movement, it's not that you're just here trying to get good grades. If I get up early every morning and they see me chanting on my japa, and I memorize so many verses, then Tukaram will give me good grades. I don't like that. That's not actually why you're here, just to be able to do those external things. But we want to see a transformation in consciousness. We want to see that people get some pratyaksha, some practical realization. Not just gyan or theoretical knowledge, but vigyan, something realized. And that comes when we chant Hare Krishna. And with those new people that I was training in Los Angeles, I would see they had this crisis of identity. Who am I? I don't know. I was my hair. I thought I was my jeans. I was my record collection. Now I don't know who I am. But I find after some years of chanting, one of the benefits of chanting Hare Krishna is after some time you begin to understand who you are as a spirit soul. Just like if you have a mirror, and we're interested in mirrors. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu talks about mirrors. Cheto Darpana Marjanam. There's a Darpana, but it's very, very dirty. And this Darpana is not just dirty with some dust from the street, but this Darpana, this mirror, is dirty with oil and grease. It's really a dirty, dirty mirror. So you go and you rub it, and it's still black. But as you keep wiping it, gradually you kind of see something. It's still very dirty. You can't see the color in your face. You can't see so many details. But you see an outline standing in front of the mirror at first. So that's Cheto Darpana Marjanam. That's the cleansing of our consciousness. In the beginning, our consciousness is so dirty that as we clean it a little bit, we begin to see some form. We understand, oh, I'm not this body. That's the beginning. I am a spirit soul. But if we keep cleaning and cleaning and cleaning, then we begin to see, oh, this is who I am. This is when we learn our relationship with Krishna, we learn my spiritual identity, and you become an extremely powerful person. Because if you want to be successful in any business, you want to be successful in anything in this world, as a friend, as a father, as a husband, as a businessman, you have to have confidence. But who has confidence in this world if you don't understand who you are? isn't it? And people, as they're growing up, they have so many different identities, just like you may go to the shopping mall. And you can go in the shopping mall and you can buy some clothes and you can purchase an identity. Maybe you can buy an American cowboy hat and you can talk kind of like the cowboys in America, like that. And you can buy some cowboy boots and some jeans and you'll feel a certain way. Or you'll buy some leather pants another day, or you buy a swimsuit, or you'll buy a gym outfit. And people in this way, they're purchasing their identity because they're not confident. The only person who's really confident is someone who knows who they are. And so many people tell you should be confident, but it's bogus. How can you be confident if you don't know who you are? So Krishna consciousness is something practical. It can help you to understand who you are, and then you can also begin to see these other persons are spirit souls. And that's also practical, because your morality and ethics then is better than the morality of the scorpion, which is like the morality of the politician who tells you everybody should be honest, but as soon as he gets a chance to cheat you, then immediately he does it. But for a devotee, he understands theoretically, and then he begins to realize, I'm not this body. And neither is he, nor is he, nor is her, nor is that person. They're not their bodies. And let me treat them like something more than just their body. That type of respect is the foundation of the deepest type of relationships, where there's no cheating. Ahoitaki apratiyata yayatma supersediti. If we want to have a relationship with someone, that relationship should be ahoitaki, without any mundane motivation. If you go to a girl, you can practice this at school. I don't recommend it, but if you really want to try, you can practice this. And go to a girl and say, hey baby, I love you, honey. Like that. And then you do it with 4 or 5 different girls during the day. And when they find out, what will happen? Somebody's going to probably come and slap you in the face. Right? Because you have some motivation. You're telling her, I love you, but you don't really love her. You don't even know what she is. Right? What do you love about her? Well, sorry. I love the, she knows what I'm about to say. I love the way the sun shines through her beautiful hair, and it's so silky and things. Well, I can give you a little bit of advice. If that's what you love about her, then just buy a wig. And you can hang it in the window, and the sun comes through, and you'll save so much money on chocolates and movies and so many other things. And then you're probably thinking, that's really gross. No, I love the feel of her skin. Oh, it makes me very excited. The feel of her skin is so soft, so nice. Okay, I'll save you some money. Take her outside during the summertime in the hot sun. And maybe she gets a sunburn, and then her skin peels off, and then you collect the skin and you put it in a plastic bag. And you can keep that, and whenever you feel lonely, you can just rub the skin in the bag. And that's my sweetheart, right? Isn't that disgusting? She hates it when I talk like this. Isn't that disgusting? Huh? But that's the relationships that we have in this world. And they're full of duplicity. They're full of hoitaki. They have some motivation to them, a selfish motivation. But a real relationship, which is yayatma supersediti, which will satisfy the self, it's ahoitaki. It has no mundane motivation, and it's apratiyata, it never stops. So that's a relationship based on understanding a person's a spirit soul. Tukaram Prabhu asked me to say something to you today about developing qualities of a devotee, and I wanted to speak something about different types of respect. This is just the foundation of this principle. Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaks about 8 types of respect in Chaitanya Sikshamrita, and in the Manu Sanghita and in the Mahabharata, there's also descriptions about respect. Because respect is the basic principle of every civilization. And according to the quality of that respect, we can see how sophisticated, how advanced your civilization is. And this Aryan civilization of India was the most advanced civilization in the world. But it's degraded. And today, what do people give respect for? Can someone tell me?
Money.
Money. Okay, is that all? Huh? Position. Position's another thing. And what's another thing I'm looking for? How beautiful you are. Even if you don't have any money, but you're a really beautiful woman. Oh my God, right? All the boys stop, the cars stop when you're walking across the street and everything. Huh? So if we have some position, we have some money, we have some bodily beauty, people give respect for those things. But none of those things has anything to do with your good qualities. You may be a mass murderer. And in America, there was one person, I think his name was the Son of Sam or something. He murdered something like 60 different women. And one of the reasons he was able to kill so many different women was because he was so handsome. And all the women, and they immediately trusted him. Because it's a culture where they're placing value on your looks or on your money. And you may be the most badmas, the worst person in the world, but if you're handsome, or if you're famous, if you have some money, then people want to give respect to you. So this Krishna conscious movement, we're raising our hands and say, please excuse us. We don't want to take over the world. Maybe we do, and that's another thing. But you can go ahead and run the government and things. But we would like to give you a suggestion about respect. Don't just give respect based on looks and money and position. The Manasanghita says, Vipranam Gyanato Vyaishtam Chatriyanam Tuviryataha Vaishanam Danyadananta Shudranam Eva Janmataha. That there's seniority in Vedic culture. The Brahmins are considered to be senior, Gyanato, based on their knowledge. So we're respecting the quality of knowledge in the Brahmins. Kshatriyanam Tuviryataha. And the virya, the heroism, the strength of the Kshatriya. Vaishyanam Danyadanamata. That the danya, the wealth of a Vaishya. We give respect to that money. And Sudhanamaeva Janmataha. The age of a Sudra. That's culture. We give respect to someone who has knowledge, to someone who has some power, to someone who has wealth, to someone who has age. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says that there are 8 different reasons why we should give respect. And I'll just run through these really quickly with all of you, and we'll finish. I don't want to take you for too long today. Nara Matra Maryada. There's this type of Maryada. We should give respect to Nara Matra, anyone who's a human being, even anyone who's living. Srila Prabhupada in 1977, when he came to Bhubaneswar, they were taking him for walks in Nandakanan Zoo. I've never been there before. I've been in Bhubaneswar since 1993, but I've never been to Nandakanan Zoo. Prabhupada was walking there, and one morning as they were walking through, one of the Western American sannyasis took his danda and put it in a cage with the lion and started poking the lion with his danda. Hare Krishna, I'm sorry. So Prabhupada saw that, and he stopped and said, hey, what are you doing? Don't do that. He said, and Prabhupada told him, you should give him respect. He's a lion. Right? He's a lion, so you should give him respect. And what to speak of, a lion, an animal, even a cockroach we can give respect to, because the Lord is in his body. And what to speak of, a cockroach we give respect to a lion, and what to speak of a lion, not a matara maryada. We should respect someone as a human being. But more than just a human being, because you have some people in New Guinea, they like to invite you for lunch, and you are the lunch. They're cannibals. But they're human beings. We give respect to them, but maybe I don't want to accept their invitation for lunch. Careful. More respect than that, I give sabhyatera maryada to someone who belongs to a sabha, like the IYF. Because being part of this, you should learn how to give respect to everyone. And we respect someone more who's a gentleman. When I was growing up, my mother told me, you open the door for a lady. You let the ladies go first. You be a gentle person. I was taught by my mother, don't speak harshly, don't speak very loudly in a public assembly. You be a gentle person, be a respectful person. That's sabhyatera maryada. Someone who's learned in the sabha, in the assembly of persons, especially ideally the assembly of devotees, how to have culture, that person we give more respect to. But even more respect we give to than sabhyatera maryada, we give to raja maryada. Someone has some position, a policeman. We should respect him because he's a policeman. Or someone's a temple president, someone's in charge of IYF. You should give respect. It's not an easy thing to be in charge of IYF. He may be a perfect person, he may not be a perfect person, but he's in charge. So we give respect to that position. Srila Sanatana Goswami was the chief minister for the Nawab Hussain Shah. He had a very important position. But he got tired of going and helping Nawab Hussain Shah because Nawab Hussain Shah was a cow killer. He's a Yavana Malecha who liked to kill Vaishnavas and Brahmins and break temples. And Sanatana Goswami didn't want to be part of that. Instead, he started hanging out with the devotees and reading Srimad Bhagavatam. And he sent a note to work, I'm sorry, I don't feel good today, I'm sick. And the Nawab Hussain Shah became disturbed. I need his help. So he sent one of his ministers, you go and find out what's happening with him. And he went there and he came back and said, oh, he's hanging out with those Hare Krishna people, just hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So Nawab Hussain Shah, this huge demon, has killed so many devotees and Brahmins and broken temples and is a cow killer, meat eater. He went to that assembly, and when he arrived in that assembly, all those Vaishnava Brahmins stood up and gave him respect. Why? Not because he's such a big demon. They gave respect from their heart in a genuine way, not like a scorpion just trying to get something, but in a genuine way, because they saw Krishna gave him some position. And they're seeing him in relationship with Krishna, and they gave respect to the position that he had. This is a behavior of a cultured person. And this Krishna conscious movement is here to teach people how to develop love of God, but also just to teach us how to become human beings, how to become cultured persons, which is such a quality which will be valuable for you in any walk of your life. So we give respect to anyone who's a human being, Naramatera Maryada, but more respect, Sabhyatera Maryada, but more respect to Raja, or Pada Maryada, someone who has a position, but more respect than that, Vidya Maryada, someone who's learned, a professor in the university, one of your teachers in school. You should give respect to them because they have that knowledge. But even more respect than Vidya Maryada, we give to Sadguna Maryada. He may be a rickshawala. I was telling a story, I think the other day, some of you were there in Puri with us, about one professor that I met who knew so many verses, but he liked to smoke and eat fish, and he's a nonsense. I give respect to his knowledge, but I remember once walking in Puri, I have a problem. This color skin is very difficult in Jagannath Puri. Everybody wants to be my friend. But when they want to be my friend, they want money from me, and they want lots of money. Like a rickshawala, it's a 10 rupee rickshaw ride, and they want to charge me 200 rupees because of the color of my skin. That happens all the time. And it's Prabhupada once said that if you cheat someone, that's bad. And if you allow yourself to be cheated, that's equally bad. So I don't like to be cheated. But it's difficult because I'm a Bideshi. So once we're walking along the beach, and we wanted to get a rickshaw. It was a 10 rupee ride somewhere. And they all want to charge us 50 rupees or 100 rupees. And I became annoyed, and Krishna Kanya, we just started walking. And then a rickshawala came out of nowhere, and he came and stopped and said, come, asun, asun. And I said, yeah, keti dam. How much are you charging? And he said, 10 rupya. Oh, he's a nice man. And we got on the rickshaw. Now this man probably has no education, right? Not like you guys. He's a rickshawala, the poor person. But as we're going along, suddenly he starts singing so many nice padas, so many nice songs, glorifying Jagannath. And I started singing also, Paramananda, Hey Madhava. And he became very, very happy. And that man was such a good man. So I give more respect to him than I do to that professor. He's a rickshawala. Professor's a big man. But I'll give more respect to the rickshawala because Sadguna Maryada. He had good qualities. But more respect than Sadguna Maryada will give to Varna Maryada. Someone who's working according to their Varna in life, according to their proper quality. I've marked, you don't mind me saying, in Orissa I see many Brahmins. And they have a paita, they have their Brahmin thread like that, right? But he sells chickens. He's supposed to be a Brahmin, he's selling fish or chicken. Or maybe he's selling alcohol. Or what kind of Brahmin is that? I respect a Brahmin who's acting as a Brahmin, who's teaching. That's Varna Maryada. Or someone who's a Vaishnava or Sudra, but they're acting according to the Varna. We give more respect than that, to that person. We give respect to anyone as a human being, more respect to someone who's a cultured person, more respect to someone who has a position, more respect to someone who has knowledge, even more respect to someone who has good qualities, and even more respect to someone who's acting according to their Varna. But even more respect than that, we give to someone who's acting according to ashram. There are so many bachelors today, but how many brahmacharis are there? Nobody wants to be a brahmachari, but they want to be a bachelor. Bachelor means I can have 10 different girlfriends, right? But brahmachari, that's a serious thing. We should give respect to anyone who's acting as a brahmachari or a proper grihastha, who's taking care of his wife, taking care of his children, or someone who's a vanaprastha. And we give the most respect to someone who's a sannyasi, who's given up everything. And the quality of a sannyasi is they have renunciation. We're giving respect to that quality of renunciation. That's 7 different layers of respect. Anyone is a human being. More respect then to someone who's cultured. More respect to someone who has a position. More respect to someone who has knowledge. More respect to someone who has good qualities. Yet more respect to someone who's acting according to Varna. And even more respect to someone who's acting according to ashram. And especially if there's sannyasi. But there's an 8th and final position of respect, which Bhaktivinoda Thakur says we should follow. And that's Bhakti Maryada. And someone may be a brand new IYF devotee, but if we see they're very serious in their Nam Bhajan, they become an elevated devotee, we should give more respect to that person than maybe we do even to a sannyasi if he doesn't have good qualities. We give respect to the sannyasi just because he's a sannyasi. But I'll give more respect to a small child or to a Mataji who's a housewife if she has bhakti, if I see that bhakti is very deep in it. And there's a nice story in the Brihanaradiya Purana that once there was an assembly of sages, and that assembly was headed by Markandeya Rishi. Is that right? Yeah, Markandeya Rishi. Markandeya Rishi was 7 kalpas old. And in that assembly of rishis there was Narad Muni there was so many different, the Sapta rishis were all there, so many great personalities. And at one point Srila Vyasadeva arrived and he brought his son Parashara Muni. And Parashara was 7 years old. Okay? And he arrived in the assembly. That assembly was being led by Markandeya Rishi, who's 7 kalpas old. And that little boy arrived, and when he arrived there, and Markandeya Rishi saw him, he got up and offered respect to the little boy. Would you do that in such an assembly? The other members of the assembly are thinking, wait a minute, I'm 1 kalpa old. I have this mystic city. Who is this little boy? Why you're giving more respect to the little boy than you're giving to all these other rishis? This is not proper etiquette. And the little boy became frightened. Parasai, why are you offering respect to me? I'm just a little boy. That's not good. And Markandeya Rishi said, no, I'm giving more respect to you because you are the most respectable person in this assembly. How is that? I'm just a little boy. I'm only 7 years old. You're 7 kalpas old. How do we judge or determine seniority? Markandeya Rishi asked. In America, I used to live in California, and we used to go sometimes to the redwood forest, and there are some trees there that are over 2,000 years old. So we should give respect. 2,000-year-old tree. Who is more respectable? That 2,000-year-old tree or a 2-day-old tulsi plant? We give more respect to Tulsi Devi. We give respect to that 2,000-year-old personality because of the age, but I'm going to give more respect to Tulsi. He said in the same way, although you're very young, you're more advanced in terms of bhakti. He said, although you're only 7 years old, you've remembered Krishna more in those 7 years than all of us put together in our very, very old age. So we give more respect to you. That's Vaishnava culture. So this respect, that we want to cultivate respect. We want to have a culture, a society of respect. But there should be some scientific reason, some scientific way to do it. We should have some intellectual reasons. I've been speaking to you about intellectual reasons, 8 different reasons to give respect. But it also should be something that we realize, that we walk the talk, that we breathe. And we want to give this to the world. And we would like it if all of you could help give this to the world. Not that you're all necessarily going to move into the temple and shave your heads and be brahmacharis. Maybe some of you might. That's very glorious. But probably most of you will have jobs. Some of you may become teachers yourselves or whatever. But in whatever situation you're in, let's help spread this Krishna consciousness all over the world, because the world needs this. People think, oh there's a problem with the global warming. So how can we solve the global warming problem? Well, we need to collect a lot of money. And then we're going to educate people and things. But that's not going to solve the problem. Because you collect the money and then people are going to steal the money. Right? It happens all the time in India. Right? If you try to solve a problem with money, it's not going to work. If you try to solve a problem even with education, it's not going to work. What's the only thing that will work to solve all the problems in the world today? Deforestation, hunger, war, global warming. There's only one solution for all the problems, and that's Krishna consciousness. We need to change people's consciousness so that people are not trying to act like they're a devotee. I'm wearing a dhoti and I have tilak, but you're a scorpion. So what if a scorpion puts on tilak and a dhoti and he still acts like a scorpion? We want to change the consciousness of people. And that's the purpose of this movement. It's a very practical thing. So I've gone way over time. I'm going to get in trouble with Tukaram people. Should we finish there? Or do we have some discussion? Or? Okay. So what I really like to do, my favorite thing, I've been a speaker for a long, actually I was a public speaker before I joined the Hare Krishna movement. That was my job. But what I really like is when there's interaction and there's discussions. Not just questions. Questions are also useful, but I like reflections. When people say, oh, I really like what you said about this or that. It reminded me of this other thing, or this is a valuable thing. And by thinking like that and marking it and speaking it out loud, then you get to keep it. So if there's anything that any of you liked, any treasure, any valuable thing that you found in our discussion today, you can give some reflection about that. Or questions are also legal too. Prabhu?
I like the way how you presented that Krishna consciousness can solve all the problems. You said that like Krishna consciousness is not just chanting Hare Krishna, rather it works in all the spheres of life. So you molded your presentation in such a way that it's very practical for those who are practicing Krishna consciousness, like only practicing Krishna consciousness, and also those who are doing different other things as well. So these principles will help them in their lives, either professional or academic or social lives as well. So this is how you present it. It's very nice.
I see in all different parts of the world, it's not easy to become a devotee. In America, where I grew up, the problem was sense gratification. That's a problem in a lot of places. You have a girlfriend, and I really don't want to move into the temple. I'd like to be a devotee, but I have my girlfriend, or you're attached to smoking or drinking or whatever like that. That's a problem. In India, the biggest obstacle I see for many people to become a full-time devotee is their family. It's okay if you chant Hare Krishna at home, maybe that's okay. Sometimes they don't even like that, but if you want to move into the temple or something, even you maybe want to move in with IYF, they become disturbed. No, don't become a Hare. We want you to make money, we want you to have good business and things like that, isn't it? But you should know, you should tell your parents, tell your family, no, this is practical. And we're not telling everybody to shave your head and just move into the temple and give up your family and things like that. This is something practical. The Utkal University, they're inviting a Hare Krishna devotee to come and speak about something practical about business, because they understand, they need to know some way they can give genuine respect to people, not like the respect of a scorpion. It's practical. Thank you, Prabhu. Anything else, anybody? Reflection, something you liked? Did you collect anything today? What did you win?
Towards that point you told that I am a Videsi but still I am very Christian.
Sometimes when I go to America, because many Indian people, and I know, see, in India it used to be that everybody, at least once in your life, you want to go to Badrak Ashram or Dwarka or whatever, Vrindavan, once in your life, and people would walk for months. But now that's changed. Now it changed over the years. After some time, I want to go to Delhi, or I want to go to Mumbai, and now it's I want to go to New York. And it used to be, I want to go at least once in my life to Jagannath Puri, and I'll collect the dust and I'll bow down. Now I want to go to New York, and I want to go to Wall Street, and I want to collect the dust at Wall Street, and I want to offer obeisances there. Isn't it? That's what people are thinking today. And so sometimes when I go to America, I find that there's a lot of Indian people there. And they're a little bit lost. They're trying to remember their culture, trying to keep it. And I sit down with them, I tell them, I said, I'm a little confused. I'm not really sure. Am I a Deshi or am I a Bideshi? And all of you, are you Deshis or Bideshis? Because I am an American, but I'm living in India, so I'm kind of a Deshi, but you're an Indian, but you're living in America, so you're kind of a Bideshi. And who's a Deshi and who's a Bideshi? Like that, we say it sometimes. Anybody else, anything, Prabhuji?
Prabhuji, the point you said that we are the most conservative and at the same time we are the most
Liberal.
So I heard in one lecture that we must be strict to ourselves and liberal to others. So is this that? Is how can we maintain that?
Prabhupada writes in one purport in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, he says, the qualification of a Vaishnava is adosha darshi. He doesn't see fault in others. My Guru Maharaj commented on that, though. He said, we should be sarva dosha darshi. See all the faults in ourselves. With other people, we don't see, usually we do it the other way around. We see everybody else's fault, but we ignore our own faults. But a person who's going to live a progressive life, who's going to make advancement, even materially speaking, we should learn to see our own faults and be tolerant of everybody else's fault. That's the secret of marriage. That's the secret of friendship. We're all looking, even you may be the worst criminal, murderer, rapist in Tihar jail, but still that murderer is still hoping that he can find a girl who will love him. And what is the quality of that love? He wants to find someone who will forgive him and like him in spite of the fact that he killed his father and mother, in spite of the fact that he's such a bad person. She'll see something in me that she loves, and she'll forgive me. So forgiveness is such a very important quality. That's a whole other subject also. We should cultivate that. And we should forgive other people. We should overlook their faults. But be very careful to see whatever faults are in ourselves and be constantly trying to get rid of those faults. That's a very good point. Anybody else have anything, Prabhuji? I think this is the last
The
thing.
point that we can be confident when we know our identity. And in relationship, attention, respect is more important.
Yes. Those are such important points. How can you be confident otherwise? If you're, I don't know, do I want to become an astronaut and go to the moon? Or do I want to become a tennis player? Or do I want to just have a shop and sell donuts or whatever? What do I want to do? How are you going to work in this life? People who are successful are very confident. They're powerful persons. But you can't be successful unless you know who you are. But if you understand, I'm a spirit soul, and then you can understand the purpose of my life, then you can have complete confidence. Even in your business, it's not that we're trying to say that okay, you'll be a businessman, but really that's second class. The real thing is you should be a devotee. No, you be a devotee businessman. And be fully confident. This is according to my nature, to my swabhav, and my parents want me to do this work. I'm doing this thing, this is my nature, but I'm a devotee at the same time. I'm not wasting my life. I have full confidence in that way. Because even sometimes the brahmacharis in the temple, to be really honest, they're not really sure. Maybe I should have got married. I don't know. Maybe I should have gone to school. I don't know if I should have been a brahmachari or not. It happens sometimes. I was also in charge of the brahmacharis before in Los Angeles. We have to have that confidence in whatever we do. And that confidence comes from an understanding of who we are, and it comes from a relationship with someone who's a self-realized soul. It comes from a relationship with Gurudev. And we follow those instructions of Gurudev. And when we follow those instructions, then we have great confidence. I know I'm on the right path because I'm following a proper guide. Okay? So I'm just so happy to get to see all of you and see what you're doing. You're all better than me. I can tell you very honestly, you're very, very fortunate to be in such an assembly and doing what you're doing. Thank you all very much. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Samaveda Bhaktabinda ki jai, Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bol, Vancha Kalpadarubhischan, Kripa Sindhu Bhivachan, Paditanand Bhavani Vaishnava.
Yes, Madhavananda Prabhu ki jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanandi.